I want you to think about something tonight. If you are past 50, your body has started telling you things you did not used to hear. Your knees are a little stiffer when you get out of bed. Your hands ache by the end of the day in a way they never did at 30. Your skin is drier and rougher and cracking in places it never used to crack. And the sleep, the good deep sleep you used to fall into easy, it does not come the way it once did. You know what I'm talking about. You feel it every single day, and I would bet good money that you have done what most folks do about it. You have walked down that long, bright aisle at the drugstore, and you have picked up a tube of cream for the joints, a jar of something for the skin, and a bottle of pills for the sleep. You have paid good money for all of it. You have taken it home and used it, and a week later, the knees still ache, the hands still crack, the sleep still will not come easy. The bottles are a little emptier, and your wallet is a good bit lighter, and not much has honestly changed. I want to tell you something plain right at the start, and it is the whole point of this video. You do not need 3 bottles from a drugstore. You need one plain oil that has been sitting in quiet kitchens for over 100 years that most folks have forgotten, and that the old people would not have gone a single winter without an oil that costs less than a loaf of bread and lasts half a year. And tonight I am going to show you the 3 ways the careful old people used it. One for the aching joints, one for the dry skin, and one for the sleep. And not a one of them will cost you more than a few cents. Now, let me tell you how I know. It is a cold evening in November. In my house, the last of the firewood is split and stacked. Ruth, my wife, has been putting up the last of the fall apples since morning. I come in from the field and sit down at the kitchen table, and my hands are stiff and my knees are sore and my whole body feels like it has been wrung out like a rag. I am 62 years old, and a working day hits harder at 62 than it did at 30. That is the plain truth of getting older, and you know it as well as I do. Ruth sits down across from me and puts a small brown bottle on the table between us. Castor oil, same bottle her mother kept, same bottle her grandmother kept. And we do the same thing with it that the old people have done for longer than anyone alive can remember. I am Samuel Yoder. I am Amish and I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. My family came over from the German country and settled on this land in 1838, and they worked it with their hands and their backs into a good old age, same as I mean to. And I want to be straight with you right at the start, the way I always am, because your trust matters more to me than your click. I am not a doctor. I have never been a doctor. If you have a joint that is swollen bad, a knee the doctor has told you is wore out, real arthritis that needs real medicine, that is a matter for your doctor and not for me. I would not take that from you for the world. What I'm going to show you tonight is plain old comfort, the way careful old folks ease the everyday aches and dryness and sleeplessness that come with getting up in years. Not a cure, not a miracle. Just a good, honest, plain way to tend a body that has given you a long day of work, and that is plenty. Now, let me tell you about this oil, because you have probably heard the name, but you may not really know what it is. Castor oil comes from a bean. It is pressed out of the bean of the castor plant, the same way you press oil from an olive or a seed, and people all over the world have used it for a very long time. Longer than you or I have been alive, longer than this country has been a country. Now here's the thing about castor oil that makes it different from the oils you cook with. And I want you to understand this because it is the whole reason it works. It is thick, very thick, thicker than olive oil, thicker than the grease in the pan, almost sticky. And that thickness is everything. Think about it this way. If you pour a thin oil on your hand, it soaks in quick and it is gone in 10 minutes. You have to keep putting it on and putting it on. But the thick castor oil goes on and it stays. It sits on your skin like a soft blanket. It holds in the warmth. It holds in the moisture. And it works slow and steady for hours even through the whole night while you sleep. That is all you need to know about it. It is thick, it stays, it works slow. The old folks did not need a fancy word for it. They just knew that the thick oil did a better job than the thin one. And they were right. Now let me show you the 3 plain ways Ruth and I use this oil, and I will tell you straight for each one what it does and what it does not do. The first is for your joints, the sore knees and the stiff hands and the aching back that come with being past 50 and still using your body every day. If you have got that kind of ache, listen close. Here's how we do it, and it is simple enough that you can do it tonight. At the end of your day, when you are done with your work, you warm a little bit of the oil in your hands. Not much, a spoonful is plenty for one knee. You rub your hands together to get the oil warm, and then you work it into the sore joint. Slow, gentle, not hard. You are not trying to fix anything. You are rubbing ease into a tired place, the way you would rub down a tired horse at the end of a long ride. You work it into the knee, all around it, above and below, slow circles with the flat of your hand. Take your time with it. Do not rush. The rubbing itself is half the good of it, because the rubbing brings the blood up to the surface, and the blood is what feeds and eases a sore spot. Then you take a piece of old flannel or a wool cloth, and you wrap it around the knee over the oil, and you leave it. You sit the while in the quiet with it on. Or better yet, you go to bed with it and let it work through the whole night. The cloth holds the warmth in. The oil sits on your skin and does not dry up or rub off. And all night long, while you sleep, the oil is there, softening and warming and easing the joint. Ruth does this on her hands when they have been working hard all day in the kitchen. She works the oil into every finger, every knuckle, all around the nails, and then she pulls a pair of soft cotton gloves over them and goes to bed. She wakes up with her hands soft and easy and the stiffness gone out of them. I do it on my knees after a long day in the field. I have wrapped a knee in flannel after a day of splitting wood, gone to sleep with the aches throbbing in it, and woke up in the morning able to bend it easy and walk without the limp. Now, that is not a miracle, and I will not call it one. It is just what a thick, warm oil does to a stiff, tired joint when you give it a whole night to work. It eases it. It softens it. It brings a quiet comfort that lets you sleep and lets you rise easier in the morning. But hear me plain about what it does not do, because I will not lie to you. A rub of castor oil does not fix a joint that is truly damaged. It does not put back what the years have wore away. It does not cure arthritis or mend a torn-up knee. If your joint is truly bad, you need your doctor, and that is the honest truth. But for the ordinary soreness and stiffness that comes with being past 50 and working every day, the oil and the warm cloth is as good a comfort as I know, and a comfort kept up faithful every hard day is what keeps a body going. Before I go on, let me pause a moment. The second use is the one that surprised me most when Ruth first showed it to me. It is castor oil on the bottoms of your feet before bed to help you sleep. Now, I know that sounds like an old tale. I thought the same thing the first time Ruth told me. But her mother did it, and her mother before her, and when Ruth started doing it on the nights she could not settle, I watched it work, and then I tried it myself. Here is the plain truth of it. You sit on the edge of your bed, you take a small bit of the oil, just a few drops, and you rub it into the bottom of each foot. Slow. Take a minute or two with it. Work it into the arch and the heel and the ball of the foot. Then you pull a pair of clean cotton socks over your feet so the oil does not go on the sheets, and you lie down. I am not going to tell you I know all the reasons this works, because I do not. And I will not make up a reason just to sound smart. What I know is what I have seen in this house, and what I have felt in my own body. There is something about a slow, warm rubbing of the feet at the end of a long day that draws the fuss and the worry right out of a person. Your body settles. Your mind quiets. and the sleep comes easier and deeper than it would have without. Ruth does it on nights when she has been on her feet all day and her mind will not stop turning. I do it on nights when my back aches and my shoulders are tight and the day will not let go of me. 9 times out of 10, we are asleep faster and we sleep better for it. That is not a claim from a bottle. That is what happens in this house, and I am telling you would plain too, but let me give you the honest limit of it, because I always will. Castor oil on the feet is not a cure for real sleeping trouble. If you lie awake night after night after night, and it is wearing you thin and making you sick, that is a real problem, and it is a matter for your doctor, and I mean that truly. What the oil on the feet gives you is a settling, a quiet at the end of a hard day, a small kindness to yourself before you close your eyes, and a small kindness done faithful every night adds up to something real over time. Do not let anyone, me included, tell you it is more than that. The third use is the plainest and oldest of all, and it is the one you can start tonight. It is castor oil on dry, cracking, aging skin. If you are past 50, you already know this. Your body does not make the oils it used to. Your skin gets dry, it cracks, it gets rough and thin and sore, especially on the hands and the face and the elbows and the heels. And you have probably gone out and bought a cream for it, a little jar with a fancy name and a flower smell and a price that makes you wince. And here is what that cream mostly is, and I am sorry to tell you, water and perfume. It goes on your skin, it feels nice for half an hour, it dries up, and your skin is dry again by morning. You have paid good money for a wet that does not last. Castor oil is the opposite of that. It is thick. It is not mostly water. It goes on heavy, and it stays, and it holds the moisture in your skin for hours, not minutes. The old folks knew this. They did not have a word for moisturizer. They just knew that the thick oil kept the skin soft when nothing else would, and they trusted it. Here is how you use it. After you wash up in the evening, while your skin is still a little warm and damp, you take a few drops of the oil and you work it into the dry places at the backs of your hands, your knuckles, the rough spots on your face, the cracked heels. You do not need much. A little goes a long way because it is so thick. And same as with the joints, you cover it, cotton gloves on the hands, cotton socks on the feet, and you let the oil work through the night while you sleep. I have gone to bed with hands that felt like dried leather and woke up with them soft and the cracks starting to close. Ruth puts a drop on her face on the driest winter nights, and her skin is softer in the morning than any cream from a store ever made it. That is not a miracle. It is just what a good thick oil does when you give it time and cover it and let it work. It holds the moisture in. It softens what is rough. It eases what is cracked. And it costs you a few cents where the fancy jar costs you a few dollars and does less. Now I will tell you something that Ruth says, and she is right. The secret is not the oil alone. It is the faithful doing of it. One night of castor oil will help, but it is the doing it every night, night after night, week after week, that makes the real change. A body that is cared for a little every day stays softer and easier than one that is ignored for a month and then drenched in cream once in a panic. The old folks knew that. They did not treat their skin once in a while. They tended it every evening the same way they tended the animals in the garden. A little care, every day, faithful. That is the whole secret of it, and it is no secret at all. Now, let me say a plain word about something you may have heard, because I will not pass on a tale I cannot stand behind. You may hear on the internet that you should drink castor oil every day, a spoonful in the morning to clean out your heart, insides. I am going to be straight with you on this. The old folks did use castor oil on the inside, but only once in a long while, and only when there was a real need. It is a strong thing for the gut. Taken too often, it can cause Cramping. It can cause the bowels to depend on it, so they will not work right without it. And it can trouble the medicines a person past 50 may already be taking. So do not go swallowing castor oil every morning because someone on the internet told you to. If you have real trouble with your digestion, and that is a common trouble past 60, and nothing to be ashamed of, that is a matter for your doctor, who will help you plain and honest. The castor oil belongs on the outside of your body, not the inside for everyday use. On the skin, on the joints, on the feet. That is where it does its honest work. So let me draw the whole of it together for you. 3 plain uses of 1 plain oil. First, the rub for a sore joint, warmed and worked in slow at the end of the day, covered with a cloth, left to ease through the night. Second, a little on the bottoms of your feet before bed, with cotton socks over to settle your body and quiet your mind for a deeper sleep. Third, a few drops on the dry and cracking skin, covered and left to soften through the night. Not one of them is a miracle. Not one of them cures a thing. All 3 of them are plain, honest, old comforts. They cost you a few cents and do a quiet good for a body that is getting up in years. And a quiet good done faithful every night is most of what keeps a body going past 50, past 60, past 70, into a good old age. Now here is the part nobody makes a dollar telling you. There is no money in telling you to rub a few cents of oil into your sore knee and go to bed. Nobody gets rich off a brown bottle that lasts you half a year and costs less than a cup of coffee. So that plain old knowledge goes quiet, and into the quiet rushes the whole drugstore aisle. The cream for the joints with the long name and the high price. The jar for the face with the fancy words and the flower. Smell, mostly water and perfume, gone by morning. The sleep pills in the bright bottle that leave you foggy the next day. Every one of them selling you a worse answer at 10 times the price of what the old folks already had sitting in the cupboard. I am not telling you there is a conspiracy. I am telling you something plainer and harder to fix than a conspiracy. The cheap, honest thing has no salesman, so it falls silent, and into that silence the bottles shout from every shelf and every screen. The old wisdom did not get proven wrong. It just had nothing to sell, so it got out, shouted, and now folks past 50 spend a fortune every month chasing from a drugstore what a plain bottle of oil and a piece of flannel would have given them for near nothing. Tell me in the comments below, are you past 50 and finding the aches and the dry skin and the bad sleep harder to shake than they used to be? Have you tried the plain old oils, or have you been reaching for the bottles from the drugstore? And did your grandmother or your grandfather have a way for a sore body at the end of the day? An oil they rubbed in, a cloth they warmed, a thing they did every night before bed? Where did your family come from, and what did the old folks in your line lean on to keep their bodies going? Near every family had its own way, and most of those little ways are slipping out of memory for the plain reason that nobody writes them down. So write yours down here. I read every single one. Next video. Since tonight we talked about the plain old oil we lean on for a tired body at the end of the day, the next one I want to do is on the beeswax salve. Ruth makes every fall and keeps in a tin on the windows sill all winter. The old salve the careful folks made for chapped hands and cracked heels and the wind-burned face of a man working out in the cold. Same honest rule. What is true, what is just, a nice story, and how we actually make it and use it. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Until then, the next time your knees are sore and your hands are stiff and your skin is dry and the sleep will not come, do not walk down that bright aisle looking for the answer in a bottle with a high price and a long name. Reach for the plain brown bottle that has sat in kitchens for 100 years. Warm it in your hands. Rub it in slow. Wrap it warm. Pull on a pair of cotton socks and let a night of rest do the rest. The old people did not have a drugstore aisle. They had a bottle of oil, a piece of flannel, and the good sense to tend a working body every evening before they lay down, and that is a kind of wisdom that does not wear out in any house that still remembers it.